I'm Natalie Scott, and my art form, it's lots of different things, to be honest, but primarily poetry, particularly using dramatic monologue form, so using voices. I like blending poetry with drama, and I also do writing for wellbeing as well. So I'm accredited as a writing for wellbeing facilitator, and I run sessions under an initiative I set up called Pen Power.
Wow, lovely. Can I just say I love your pandas behind you? Is that
oh, thanks.
I can't take me out. Sorry, I can't take me out.
Oh, they're cute, aren't they?
Is that a chair or a blanket?
It's just a throw. It's just a blanket. Yeah.
Sorry, I love that. You can tell I haven't been out much, right?
They're hypnotic, aren't they, these pandas?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Right. And it goes lovely with the pink. When and how did you first get involved in poetry writing, and you're writing for wellbeing as well?
Oh God, poetry, we're going way back. Back to, I suppose, probably I enjoyed it in school, but probably the first serious attempt was university. I did a creative writing module in my third year undergrad course. That was back in the days when you couldn't do creative writing as a degree, but you could do it as an MA.
Yeah.
So I loved it so much. I did an MA in creative writing, and that's when I, properly got into poetry writing, studying the craft, and it just happened there. So yeah, we're looking at over 20 years ago. I'm afraid it's a long time.
Oh no, that's great. That's great. No, 20 years. Oh wow, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you first get inspired to, like, can you remember your first open mic or getting up to do performance or reading or anything? Can you remember that?
Yeah. Probably not when I was studying. It was probably more after I got my first pamphlet published, which was a while after I did the MA, because there wasn't really much. There wasn't much of a scene kind of back when I was studying. We weren't encouraged to kind of get out there and share our work in that way, like people are now. So I'd say it was when I got my pamphlet, which was published by Mudfog. That was published in 2010. So it wasn't till then really when I started getting out there and reading to an audience. I had a nice launch organised by Writer's Block in Teesside, and then after that I kind of got more confidence really, getting published in anthologies and things. Sometimes there'd be launches for the anthology and I'd get up and do a slot at that. It was interesting that I wasn't doing much of that kind of, although I was writing poetry for a long time, I wasn't really sharing it that much with audiences.
Yeah. When did you first get the idea for doing Rare Birds? Has that been a long project?
Yeah, it was a long project. Kind of came off the back of doing the Titanic project. I'd had that one published, and I wanted to do a similar concept. I wanted to apply a similar concept to a different subject. So that was kind of a project that ran from about 2016 to 2020. So yeah, it was kind of 4 years on and off really. I was balancing that with the poetry therapy training and working as well. So it was
so it's sort of like full of creativity.
Yeah. Basically.
So when did you get your qualification for your writing for wellbeing?
Back in May this year.
Really?
Got my official certificate, which was really nice because it was quite a challenging course because it's all experiential. It's self-directed as well, and you had to gain 120 facilitation hours along with other things. You had to set up your own groups and get your facilitation hours, running groups, and then writing reports for each of those sessions as well, and getting that supervised.
That's a lot of work.
So it was pretty full on. It was a lot of work, and there were points where I thought I might not be able to complete this because other things were getting busy. yeah, it was a relief. It all came together quite quickly in the last month or so. Maybe the lockdown helped me a bit with that. Gave me the chance to go back to it.
Yeah, so that's something that you can really do over Zoom as well, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing more things like that. So kind of connected to that, the Seasonal Space group that I've been running that for a few years now, and that was always a face-to-face thing. But that's adapted quite well. I've still got the same most of the same people coming to that, and that's adapted quite well online. So yeah, I think Zoom can still work for those situations.
Yeah, until we can all get back together.
Until we can do, yeah.
So what inspired you to get involved in poetry? Was it that creative writing module on your, was it that the catalyst for it?
Yeah, I think it was. I think that was a big part of it. I had a tutor called Carol Coates, and I think she's still writing and doing quite well as a poet. And I remember being, pretty inspired by her and the kind of things that she was showing us. I was doing an English Lit degree, so I was exposed to, poetry and studying people like Ted Hughes and Sylvia Plath, and I just love the world of poetry really. But it was nice to be able to write it as well as study it, because I'd always kind of analysed it and written about it, but not actually done any of the poetry writing itself. So that was good.
Yeah. And who are your major influences and inspirations in the writing world, music world, just people?
Yeah, loads really. I'd say writers that are voice driven. So I really like Edwin Morgan. He was a big influence in terms of what you can do with poetry form as well. Using voice to show different perspectives and telling stories through multiple narrators. That's been a big influence on me, and that's the kind of work that excites me. And using sound forms as well. I mean, his poem, the Loch Ness Monster song, is just it just challenges what your perception of poetry is.
Loch Ness Monster song. Oh my God! Right, as soon as I get off here, I'm googling that.
It's brilliant, and if you listen to him perform it, it's even better. He performs it, but it's written in the imagined voice of the Loch Ness Monster.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of people just sort of say, "Oh, this is nonsense verse," but actually, the more you look at it, you can start to see different layers of meaning in it, and that's what I really like about his work. But definitely, I mean, people like Carol Ann Duffy, Ai Agawa, Augusta Webster, poets using the dramatic monologue form in particular have really inspired me. But there's a lot of contemporary poets I'm enjoying reading at the moment as well, as well as local poets. I think the sphere has widened so much since when I was studying. You kind of got the set texts really back even at university level when I was studying, but I feel like now we're encouraged to read much more of a variety of poets, aren't we?
Yeah. It's kind of just gone like that, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's really widened. Yeah.
Quite amazing, really. Yeah, it's like a secret. I kind of think it was like a secret little world that kind of everyone's found out about now. And
yeah, it feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So you've had a formal education in your writing. So you did English Lit as an undergraduate, and then
yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, it was combined with drama actually. It was English Lit and drama, and then did an MA in creative writing, and then I did a PhD by existing works. So
did you? Oh,
that was fun.
Wow, I didn't know you'd done a PhD.
Yeah, I did that back in, when did I get that? 2012. No, I didn't. I'm completely lying. 2015. 2015.
2015.
Because, I used the poetry collection about the Titanic, so Birth, Voices of the Titanic.
Okay, right.
Was the focus for that. And it's by existing work, so the creative work is already published and you write a thesis.
Yeah.
So the tricky thing about that was having to unpick everything I'd done, because obviously I wasn't reflecting about the process necessarily on paper as I was writing the poems, but which is what you normally do with a standard creative writing PhD. So it was a bit different. It was quicker to do, but it was a different process, which was a bit harder.
God, PhD and an MA. Oh my God, Natalie. Now, the next thing I was going to ask you was, do you normally work alone or do you collaborate? But you work alone and you collaborate, because Rare Birds was a collaboration, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a mixture, really. And I love collaborating for most projects, I would say, at some stage. It's quite lonely. It feels quite lonely not to collaborate at all. And most of the work I do, I've kind of got an audience in mind. And I think when it reaches a point where if you want it to be on the stage, then for me, I feel like, well, I need to hand it over. So that's how it's been with Birth and Rare Birds. I reached a point where I wanted to collaborate with theatrical team and see what they do with it. But yeah, Rare Birds. The great thing about that was that I got the funding to write the collection as well. So I kind of spent that time on my own doing the research and the writing, but then getting the second wave of funding to then bring in musicians and actors and everything. That was really nice. It felt like I was part of things again. It just felt right. I like being part of a team.
Where can we find your work, Natalie? Where can we, if we were looking for you, have you got a website or?
I've got a website. So it's and I've just I've got a nice fancy new website. I spent the summer doing that.
I have actually seen it, so so everyone else knows.
Yeah, that's fine. So it's just www.nataliescottwriter.com, and it's pretty much got kind of set it up as a portfolio website as well. So anything I'm doing, I'm adding to that, and you can follow it like a blog as well.
Can we buy your books off there?
You can, I've got a publications bit with kind of, if you scroll down, you can then see the books. You can buy the books directly that way.
Any of your workshops, are they on there if you're doing any?
So
everything about you's on there.
In theory, everything that I want to reveal at this stage. And probably some things I don't want to reveal I've put on there. So.
Just a couple more questions. I wanted to ask you why you think the creative arts are important to you personally and more generally.
Well, I think personally, in terms of keeping me sane and healthy, actually, I think writing in particular for me, but drawing as well. I don't do that so much now, but I used to draw quite a lot, and just doing something artistic, creating something and seeing a product, but also the process of writing as well, I think is really therapeutic. And there's nothing quite like that feeling of having written something and sharing it with an audience and getting that reaction from them. There's something for me really euphoric about that. So on a personal level, I think it's that for me. And generally, just in terms of bringing people together, it's something that I love about creative arts and projects and ideas, and the chance to kind of collaborate with different groups of people and create something new and share that, find a platform to share it. That sort of thing is what keeps it going, really. It's vital, I think, and I think it's a lifeline to people as well, especially at the moment. So it's finding ways of making sure people can access the arts at the moment when we're so challenged.
We'll be back fiercer than ever. And finally, how has lockdown been? Well, you've been very busy because you've still been working. How has it been for you, mentally, emotionally? Have you been more creative, less creative?
I think lockdown number one, in some ways there were challenges, but in some ways I quite liked it. I actually found that it was a good excuse just to slow down. and have more thinking time. And I did nice things like growing plants and just stepping outside of myself a little bit. And I think as a writer that's good, because we get too internalized, I think. So just doing other things and being by the sea and stuff was, it's a nice place to kind of be in lockdown. And I kept working, so I was, I count myself very fortunate to be able to keep working. Obviously my work at the university is keeping me going. So it was just a case of adapting to online, which has its challenges. But generally speaking, I'm managing. I think the only thing is that maybe with the second lockdown, there's that expectation now that this is the way we do things.
Yes.
So it feels almost like, well, it's different to the first time. It feels like there's more pressure this time because we're in a lockdown, but we're still expected to keep performing at this high level.
Yeah.
So I'm finding that a bit challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's this time it is different, isn't it? It feels, I don't know, hopefully. I can't I don't know about you, but I just can't watch news or any of it because it's so depressing.
It's good to switch off. Yeah, that's right.
Thing to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just being able to switch off, and I think because we're using, obviously I'm teaching online a lot, so I think it's just making sure we switch off and get outside into nature as much as possible.
Absolutely.
And stop scrolling through social media, and just take a break, really.
Though I don't know about you, Natalie, I don't know if you've been watching the US election. I'm finding that
bits and bobs
so entertaining at the moment.
Yeah.
Donald Trump. It's like, and it's hilarious, but it's really scary as well, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's almost like a fantasy. It's almost like you're watching some kind of American drama, isn't it, really?
Yeah, no, but it's just like, I mean, anything could happen. And it's so I'm finding that really entertaining at the moment. So.
Yeah. Well, maybe some ideas for writing.
Yeah. Anyway, I will let you go back to your very busy life. And, I really appreciate you taking the time out to do this, because I know it was.
Oh, no problem. No, it's always nice, and thanks for asking me. It's great to be asked and be part of this, and so thank you.
Natalie Scott, aren't you?
Oh God.
The Natalie Scott, everyone. The Natalie Scott with the best blanket we've seen so far. You get the prize for that. I absolutely love it. Honestly,
forget everything else. It's all about this, isn't it? It's all about the blanket.
It's fantastic. Anyway, have a great rest of evening, and
thank you.
Hopefully see you next year in the flesh.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Cheers.
Have a great Christmas and a great break.
Yeah, same to you. Take care. All right.
Bye.
Cheers, Julie. Bye.